We changed our strategy to get our daughter into the preferred primary school of choice. And thankfully, she managed to get in. So in this video, I want to share a little bit more about some backstory, what happened, what we were thinking initially, why we changed our strategy, as well as some personal reflections I got away from this entire process. If you're a parent of a child who's entering primary school soon, I hope this video helps to share some perspective as well as some useful tips and things to look out for when deciding what primary school you want your kids to go. If you're new here, my name is Rae. I am a mom of two and I'm also the co-founder of a professional organizing company called Orderly. On my channel here, I share bits and pieces of my life, things I'm learning, unlearning, as well as letting go of, as I figure out how to live lighter, clutter-free, and with a lot more ease. So just a quick recap on the primary school registration process in Singapore. The process is generally pretty simple and straightforward, whereby it happens by phases, so that if your child didn't get in the earlier phase, you can always try again in the subsequent phases. And for every single phase, they have very strict rules as to who can try applying in that phase. So I'll just highlight briefly in this video, and then for more details, you can refer to the link in the description box below. So for phase 1, it is for any child who have a sibling currently in the existing school. So for phase 2A, it will be eligible for any parents or siblings who are former students of that school, or if the parent is a current teacher at the school or a member of the management committee or school advisory, or if the child is currently enrolling in MOE kindergarten at that school. For phase 2B, it will be for any parents who have volunteered at that school and have contributed at least 40 hours in the year before primary 1 registration, or if the parent is a member endorsed by a church or clan directly connected to the primary school, or if the parent is endorsed as an active community leader. For phase 2C, it will be for children who are not yet registered in the primary school, and then for phase 2CS, it will be for children who are not yet registered in the primary school after phase 2C. So as you can see, not everyone is eligible to register in every single phase. So it's important to kind of evaluate where your child stands right now before you make a decision and think about what kind of strategy you want to play when deciding the primary school of your choice. So here's a little backstory. When my husband and I first purchased this home, we didn't deliberately choose this location because of the school that we wanted our kids to go to. It was really because of how we found the area, convenience to our workplaces, and the price of the unit, as well as the size of the unit that drew us to this place. So back then, when it was just the both of us, we didn't really think too much about how the location was like in terms of proximity to primary schools. So it was really only when our daughter turned 5 that we started to wake up and think about what's the primary school game plan that we want to play, right? And around our place, there's actually a famous school, pretty famous, usually oversubscribed, and it is also a SAP school, SAP school. So I'm not going to name the school, I'm just going to call it School A. So nearby our home, there's actually a popular primary school that is a SAP school, Special Assistant Plan School. So for SAP schools, they actually prioritize like bilingualism, and they promote more Chinese culture, which is something that I personally would like my kids to experience because I came from a Chinese-based secondary school. And my husband also went to a SAP primary school when he was younger. So we thought that this school that's near our place, School A, was a good choice. At that point in time when my daughter was 5, which is like last year, to be honest, I didn't really understand the whole primary school registration process. I spoke to a few friends who guided me briefly, but I think I did not really understand fully what it actually meant. So what happened was, I thought in order to get into School A, my chances would be higher if I was a parent volunteer. So last year was 2024. Around early 2024, which was February, I indicated interest to join as a parent volunteer in their PV program for School A. Around April to May, we conducted interviews because there were, I think, over 50 pairs of parents who expressed interest in being parent volunteers, but the school could only accept 15 pairs of parents. So we did the interview, and around June, July, I think, we received the news that we were selected to be a parent volunteer at the school. And I thought, wow, this is it. We just need to clock our 40 hours and then everything will be fine. And then my daughter would guarantee a spot in school. But during the PV in a briefing, we were reminded that, doing 40 hours of parent volunteer at the school does not guarantee a spot at that school. And that was when I kind of had a little wake up call that, oh right, okay, it doesn't really guarantee my daughter a spot, but it just kind of gives me a ticket to be able to apply via phase 2B. So we went on to kickstart the 40 hours of parent volunteer around July 2024, I think. And my husband and I both took turns to do volunteer work early in the morning, which was the traffic warden duty at the school for about a month. And then after a month, just one fine day, I woke up and I was like, wait, I feel like something is wrong. I feel like we're playing the wrong game. And I really don't know how that happened. It was really just like a thought download. And then I went to read up again and again on MOE website, as well as sort of clarified some information with my friends. And I realized that yes, being a parent volunteer at School A only guarantees me a ticket to register my kid during phase 2B. But I have not yet at that point went to read up on the statistics of School A for the past few years based to really understand what was the registration rate and the subscription rate like in phase 2B. So to my horror, all of the phase 2Bs in the past 3 years for School A were oversubscribed by 200%, almost 200%, 150 to 200%. So they typically only had about 20 slots, but there will always be at least 40 to 50 plus kids registering for phase 2B, which means although by doing 40 hours of parent volunteer, I can register my daughter under phase 2B, but I would likely still need to ballot, and even though I live within 1 kilometer of the school, I would still have to fight with the other 50 people or less than 50 people who live within 1 kilometer from the school. So to me, the odds was just 50-50. It was just a yes or a no. And my husband and I thought long and hard. We had a serious meeting about is it worth our time contributing 40 hours just to guarantee us a ticket into 2B? And I think very clearly my heart just said no, because it wasn't like an 80%, 90%, it was just a 50%. And if by any chance we don't get in during the phase 2B, my heart would be gutted and I would feel like this was a wrong choice. So after that very serious discussion we had over coffee at Paris Baguette, we decided to withdraw from the parent volunteer program with much apologies, and told the school to offer our spot to another set of parents instead. And we then decided to change our strategy altogether. So you're probably wondering, what is this new strategy that I'm talking about? Thankfully, my husband's former primary school is kind of near here, not very near, but definitely much nearer than my primary school, which is all the way in the west. And actually his primary school is also a SAP school, which is a good school and promotes bilingualism and Chinese culture. So we thought it would make the most sense if we were to change our strategy to apply under phase 2A instead, whereby my husband is a former student of the school, meaning he's just an alumni. I'm very happy with the school culture, the values they promote, and how the school is like in general. So by looking at the statistics for phase 2A for this school B that we're now interested in, we can see very clearly that for the past 3 years at least, under phase 2A, it was a 100% guarantee thing that the child would be secured a spot in the school, because there was always typically at least 100 plus slots, 120, 130 slots ish available, and there will always be slightly less students who applied, which means every single one who registered for 2A would definitely get in. So thankfully, somehow that thought download came in and I woke up and decided to make this change, because this year, July 2025, when we registered her under phase 2A, she got in. There were less applicants than spots available, and it was 100%, everyone got in. I was so thankful for that, because I know that this is a very good school and that she would be guaranteed a spot there and she would thrive there as well. The only main concern we have right now is the distance from our home, because it is quite a distance. If we were to take public transport, it will probably take 45 minutes to an hour to travel from the school to our home every single day, to and fro. Of course, the other option is to pay school bus, but school bus, according to the website, it's like about 300 a month for two-way. Because of the distance, we're at least 6 to 7 kilometers away from the school. And that's a lot of decisions that we have to think about, right? Whether or not it makes sense to move closer to the school so that we can take public transport to send her to school, or is it more worthwhile to invest in the $300 every month for school bus just so we can have a peace of mind about, you know, her being not worrying about who's bringing her to school on a daily basis. But that's a problem for another day, and we have already decided to move, so that's something very exciting, and I'll be making more videos about our house move very soon. So going back to this entire Primary 1 registration process that we've been on, this journey that we've been on, I just want to share some key reflections about what I went through, and hopefully you guys, if you're a parent, do take note of all these things and don't make the same mistake as I did. So I think number one, the key reflection that I have is that I really should have taken more time and effort to understand fully what this whole registration process was like, what it meant based on where we lived, based on the schools that we're looking at, based on our former schools, based on the statistics of the previous year's registration rates. Because my husband kind of left the whole thing to me, and he didn't blame me, of course. It was just that he thought I was pretty on the ball and thought I had a pretty good idea of it, but I also thought I had a pretty good idea of it, but I didn't kind of really went to look at the stats and things like that. But I'm thankful for that thought download that led us to want to quit the parent volunteer program for school A, because I think that made such a big difference, and I think that was also one of the key pivotal moments whereby, because us now deciding to go towards school B instead, and of course she has successfully been accepted into school B. Now we're just thinking about arrangements for our home. We're intending to sell the home. We are looking for a new place right now, and we're also very excited about this new journey that we're all gonna go towards as a family. A new school, a new home as well. I really hope you guys have take some time to really understand the process, the statistics, study every single statistic of the school that you might want to consider for your kids. And I did realize that, you know, moving closer to your school of choice does not really guarantee you a spot in that school as well. It's just kind of increasing your chances. So it's really kind of balancing out and playing a game as to which decision will guarantee you a higher chance of getting your child into that school. And secondly, I think a lot of us are focusing way too much on the brand, and we're also forgetting about the fact that it depends on the teachers who are teaching your child. Admittedly, I have always focused a lot on the brand of the school, you know, the reputation that it has, whether or not it's a SAP school, whether or not it's the top how many school in Singapore, and only got reminded of how important the teachers were when one of my daughter's friend's parent told me that how now her older child is in school A, which is the school they wanted to send our kid to, right? And even though school A is a good school, a SAP school, a popular school, a branded school, she did notice that his teacher was not all that great after all, because her son is quite bright, I think quite academically ahead of his peers, and probably fairly independent in his learning and homework and everything in school. So this teacher of his apparently said that, oh, because he's so independent and he's learning well, he's doing fine, she is not going to show him so much attention, and instead she's going to support the weaker students more so than him, because apparently the son did reflect to the mom that he was feeling like he wasn't getting much attention from the teacher. So when I heard that, I was quite shocked. I was quite shocked that, you know, the teacher would say something like this, but at the same time I also feel like I can empathize with the teacher, like I can understand why the teacher would say that, because I'm sure day to day they have a lot to do already, and it just makes more sense for her to focus her attention on children who need a bit more support. But of course, at the same time, I think it is also important to not dim the light of students who are actually doing well, who are outstanding. This parent actually, while I was discussing with her about my primary school registration process and things like that, she was sharing with me that, to be honest, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if it's a branded school or not. She spent 2-3 years of her life volunteering and being worried about what primary school to send her son to, but at the end of the day, it really boils down to the teachers. And I think this is so relatable even when deciding what preschool to send our kids to as well, because when I changed my daughter's preschool when she was in nursery 1, I also did realize that, just because a particular school is branded or has a certain reputation, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's the teachers that matter the most. That leads me to my third reflection, which is that at the end of the day, I think we're just gonna leave it up to fate or God or whoever you believe in, because all this is seriously just a game. It doesn't guarantee you a spot. You don't know how many other people are gonna apply in the same phase as you, and I feel like everything is just meant to be. If you're meant to go into that school, you're meant to go into that school. I was meant to make the mistake of blindly doing the parent volunteer just cause I thought it would guarantee us a higher chance. And so I feel like at the end of the day, what's meant to happen will happen. And I also kind of encouraged myself, 自我安慰, right? That if by any chance my daughter didn't get into the school B of our choice, it's fine. I think she'll be okay in another school, because at the end of the day, the responsibility falls on us as parents, right? To also guide and teach and nurture our children to grow up to be responsible and good citizens altogether. At the end of the day, I see so many parents worrying so much about whether or not their children get into a branded school that it's so unnecessary. The amount of worry and stress that they put themselves through is so super unnecessary. So I hope by watching this video, you guys gain some perspective, learn to let go a little, trust the universe, the God, trust fate a little bit more, and just know that yes, at the end of the day, while it's a game that you play, it is not worth so much of your time and energy to stress so much about it, because at the end of the day, your kids are gonna grow, they're gonna be different. It is still us and our relationship with our children and what we teach them that will help groom them into good people. I hope this video helped to share some perspective and assurance on your whole primary school registration process if you're a parent also going through this or soon to be going through this. At the end of the day, it really is, I guess, it's just up to fate. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Yes, it is a game and you can increase your chances, but it doesn't really, things may not really happen in your favor all the time, and that doesn't mean you did anything wrong. So I hope all the parents out there, give yourself a little bit more compassion, share a bit, give yourself a little bit more love. A primary school is an important choice, but I think it is not worth your entire life or your energy and stress levels to just go crazy over it just to make sure that your child gets into a branded school. This is me as a mom sharing my experience and my perspective. I'm by no means an expert on helping you guide you into the school of your choice, and I'm also glad that I've learned to let go of the need to control, the need for her to go into a school just cause it's branded. I've learned to let go and just believe that whatever school she's meant to be in, she's meant to be in, and I hope you can do that for yourself and your child too. And if this video helped, if it resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up. I will see you guys in another video very soon. Bye-bye!